So, Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to today's session. Today will be second session on the ongoing series on six systems of classical Indian philosophy. So today we're extremely delighted. We have with us Kamal too. So I'm sure most of you have attended the first session. It was really enlightening. So today also we will build upon where we left off last time. So maybe if Prabhuji is around, we can start right now. Okay, so before we start, I would like to say that I hope all of you are part of ISS Connect groups. So the notes that we shared last time, it will be same. So and today also we shared it again. So in case any of you haven't received the notes, they can send us a WhatsApp, or we can also attach in this chat also. So yeah, here we have with us Kamal. So welcome Prabhu to today's session. So thank you very much for sparing some time for us. Because last time it was really wonderful to hear from you. So we are also excited to hear today. So we can start.
ओमज्ञाद्विरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरौ श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं हरिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिसिद्धान्त सरस्वती नामिने श्रीवार्षभानवी देवी दयिताय कृपाब्धये विश्वसंबंध विज्ञान दायिने प्रभवे नमः। आधुर्योज्ज्वल प्रेमाढ्य श्रीरूपानुगभक्तिद श्रीगौरा करुणाशक्ति विग्रहाय नमोस्तुते। नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दीनतारिणे रूपानुगा विरुद्धाप सिद्धान्तद्वान्तहारिणे नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षाद्वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्बारसाम्बोधे पादाम्बुजायते नमः। नमो भक्ति विनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगावरायते गौराविर्भावभूमेस्त्वं निर्देष्टा सज्जनप्रियः वैष्णवः सार्वभौमः श्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Surator Pangur Mamanda Mater Gati Matsarvaswa Padam Bojau Radha Madana Mohano Divya Durundaranya Kalpadrumada Srimad Ratnagara Simhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Demi Sriman Rasarasarambi Vamshivata Tatastitah Karsham Veno Saner Gopir Gopinatah Shriyastunah Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So welcome all of you to the second session of Six Systems of Philosophy. I'm very sorry that last week I could not take because of some rescheduling of the flight, which was supposed to come quite early on Sunday, but it was rescheduled, so I was not available last Sunday. Last time we discussed about the distinction in the Vedic literatures, Prasthanatraya, that is Shruti Prasthana, and Nyaya Prasthana. These three prasthanas are known for its what to do and how to do and why to do. The Vedas, their language is that of a master telling the servant, and Puranas talk in the language that of a friend would tell to his friend, and Kavyas would tell the same thing in a way that a lover would tell a beloved. Now we had an overview of all the Vedic literatures and shown the charts. And in that, specifically, the six systems of philosophy comes in the section of the uh, Nyaya Prasthana. If Smriti says what to do and Smriti say how to do, Nyaya would talk about why to do things, why to do. So this is where the six systems of philosophies are fitting in. Upanishads are known as Vedanta because they are the end of the Veda. Upanishads, they talk about how to get out of this world. So they are the most important part of the Veda. In the Vedic literatures, the most important section is how to get out of this world. How to stay in this world is there in the Vedic literatures, that is in the Purva Mimamsa or Karma Kanda or Karma Mimamsa. But the later part, Upanishads, they talk about specifically about how to get out of this world. That is why they become Vedanta or end of the Vedas. So based on the Upanishads, six sages, they wrote six sutras or six systems of philosophy. They are all astikas because they all talk about how to get out of this world. They all talk about liberation. They all accept karma, theory of karma. They all accept soul, but their understanding of the soul is different. According to the Vaisheshikas, Nyaya Vaisheshikas, soul means made up of some atoms, like that. So they have a different understanding of the terms of karma, rebirth, liberation, soul, etc. But they all should be discussed because they all accept Veda as authority. So when different sages ask this one question to the Upanishads, where everything came from, then they got different results. One told atoms, one told combination of atoms, when one told it is Prakriti or material nature, other told universal consciousness, and some other told it is karma, and some other told it is Brahman. Now, we had a very purpose of why we should do this course. It's all there in the notes if you go through that. The Paramata Khandana, Samata Sthapana, and Paramata Khandana means to refute the antagonistic philosophies which are against the principles of Bhagavatam, and present Bhagavatam in such a way that it is understood very thoroughly. Like the glory of Ram is because of Ravana. If Ravana would have not been there, who would glorify Ram? In the same way, the glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam will happen when there is antagonistic philosophies like Ravana's. So in this way, we have the 6 systems of philosophies coming up: Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Purvamamsa, and Uttaramamsa, and they are propounded by different sages. And we will take today Nyaya Vaisheshika as a brief summary. Summarize, we cannot just go into entire Nyaya because it's a lifetime study. Nyaya system itself is a lifetime study. But we are not actually talking about Nyaya, the salient features of Nyaya, and then see how we can refute Nyaya. And also Vaisheshika. Nyaya and Vaisheshika are like twins. In the 6 systems of philosophy, they are twins, 3 twins. Nyaya Vaisheshika and Sankhya and Yoga, Purimamsa and Uttaramamsa, they become the twins. Because Nyaya is, they say that atoms are the source of everything. Vaisheshikas, they say that a combination of atoms is everything. Now, in philosophy, especially Vedic philosophy, you should be clear about certain terminologies. That is Prameya and Pramana. Pramana and Prameya. Pramana means proof, the epistemology. What is based on what you are going to speak? On what is the process of your knowledge? That is known as Pramana. And Prameya, that is object of knowledge. So, what you want to highlight, what you want to know, the object to be known is known as Prameya. Pramana and Prameya. To give you a distinction between these two, one is a scale, other is a line. So with a scale, you measure the line, the tape, and the distance. Now you have the liter jar and water. So water is the object to be measured, and you measure it through a liter jar. The scale is the measurement, the pramana, and prameya, the object to be measured, is line. So this is how in philosophy these two terms have to be understood. Especially in Nyaya, the pramanas are very nicely described, and in the Vaisheshika system of philosophy, we have prameyas being described very thoroughly. So let us go. You have the notes of both Nyaya and Vaisheshika. There is Nyaya notes and there is Vaisheshika notes. I'll be just going through that notes when I'm speaking. Just follow that so that you have a clear understanding, and then so the philosophy of logic and reasoning. Nyaya means the philosophy of logic and reasoning. Now we should know Nyaya is rejected as a system of philosophy, but we don't reject logic. We use logic a lot. We'll come to know as the class goes by that Prabhupada used logic a lot. Logic has to be used, but to think logic is the process by which we can realize absolute truth, that is a problem. So when we say Nyaya, system of philosophy, that is rejected. That is not, we are refuting that. But Nyaya itself should not be rejected because Nyaya means justice. It is found in the Vedas like a current. If you see current, how it flows, in the same way, in the Vedas, logic is being used a lot. It flows like current. Actually, any common sense, without common sense, you can understand anything. And somebody who has common sense, he actually uses logic and reasoning. So, Nyaya is not rejected. Nyaya, system of philosophy, is rejected. Now, all the acharyas, including Vyasa, Srila Prabhupada, use Nyaya thoroughly. Now, if any scholar wrote on a subject of Nyaya Sutras, he could not feel accomplished until his work was approved by Rup Sanatana. The acharyas are so expert, especially Rup Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. They were so expert in logic that anybody would write any book on logic, they would come and then take their their acknowledgement. So if there is no acknowledgement by Rup Sanatan, nobody would say nonsense. Get acknowledgement from Rup and Sanatan. If they would acknowledge it, then immediately that book the author would become famous. The book would be read by everyone. Now in the Pancharatra, Narada Pancharatra, very interesting verse is there. Yo vakti nyaya rahitam anyayena shrutiha taubhau narakam ghoram rajataha kalam akshayam. Taubhau, both of them will go to narakam ghoram. Very horrible hell they'll go. Rajataha kalam akshayam. For how long? Akshayam. For eternity they'll go. Who are those two people? The guru who speaks without logic. Number two, the student who listens without logic. The guru says something, and the student, oh, wow, yes, wonderful, he says. Both are going to hell because this teacher is speaking without logic. And the student is also listening without logic. So logic is being very much glorified in the Pancharatra. Nyaya, as a post-process of self-realization, is not the conclusion of Veda. Analyzing the meaning of the word with Padartha will not bring any realization, because in the Nyaya system of philosophy, Nyaya Vaisheshikas, there is a very in-depth analysis of Padartha, the word. Padartha. Padartha means the object which is indicated by a word, that is called Padartha. So there is so much of analysis of the word. It plays a very significant role in Nyaya system of philosophy. Padartha. The pramana for this is Tarko Pratishtaha Sutayo Bhinna Nasa Rishiyasya Matam Hina Bhinnam Dharmasya Tattvam Nihitam Guhayam Mahajano Yena Gata Sapanta. This is a verse of the Mahabharata, Vanaparva. It says Tarko Pratishta Sutayo Vivinna. By Tarka, nothing can be, no conclusion can arise. Because when you say something, there is an intelligent person who defeat you and then say something. So there is always a fear. No liberation can be attained by a Tarkika. Tarkika can never attain any liberation, any perfection, because according to him, he may conclude something, and somebody else later on, somebody will say defeated and say, I am right. Like we all did in science, isn't it? In science, Dalton said, atom is the smallest indivisible substance. And then Rutherford came and told, you're Dalton in nonsense. I'm saying there's something inside also. Electron is there. And somebody said, no, a proton is also there. Somebody told neutron is also there. Somebody says something else is also there. Now everybody is saying, for everything to exist, there should be antimatter. For a proton to exist, there should be antiproton. For an electron to exist, there should be anti-electron. So they all gone crazy because they think that by their own system of argument, they can establish the truth. They don't know, and later some intelligent person will come and then prove you're wrong, and he would prove that he is right. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would do same thing. He would establish something, and everybody would say, "Oh, wonderful!" And after some time, he would defeat what he has established and establish something else. Yes, wonderful. What the previous thing what you told is wrong. This is right. So any time you practice anything told by somebody who is established by logic, a principle which has been established logic, that becomes wrong. You'll be proved that you're wrong. You wasted your time and energy in practicing this because some intelligent person would defeat it and then establish something else. So dry arguments don't work. Now comes who established the system of Nyaya system of philosophy. We just follow the notes. That's enough for us. Who has established the system of Nyaya? Very simple. Gautama. We know Gautama very well. He's our.
Sorry to interrupt. Should I share the screen also of the notes?
I don't think so. They can read their own screen.
Okay.
That is better. It's up to you. I don't mind. You can do that also. You can do it. That is better also. If they are looking at me, looking at the screen, it will be nice. Who has established the Nyaya system of philosophy? The Nyaya system of philosophy was established by Gautama. Gautama is our friend. Mm. And we know Gautama and Ahalya got married to Ahalya. Ahalya was a daughter of a king, Kshatrani. But she wanted to marry Gautama only. Indra was so much in love with her. Her beauty was so great that everybody would fall in love with her for just by looking at her. But she is a great personality. She told, "What this nonsense? Accepting these kings and accepting these people who are powerful, who are beautiful, but they are not tapasvis. They are not self-controlled. So I want to get married to a person self-controlled." So Ahalya, she got married to Gautama. So we know Ram blessed them to coming to their hermitage. That is the power of Ahalya. Ahalya means on to whom the lady on whom even if you put a hull, just go on putting hull. Hull means that plow. Even plow on her body and character, not a scratch will come. So Gautama and Ahalya, lot of stories in the Puranas about them. He was also known as Akshapada. And is also known as Tapas, because he used to do long time tapasya, went on doing tapasya. And also was known as Akshapada because he was meditating on his feet. That is what happens. You meditate on Krishna's feet. If you meditate on your feet, you mental speculation. Sometimes you find your body looking at your feet like this, in depression, like this, looking at the feet. Crazy. If you look at your feet, then cactus grows instead of lotus feet. Cactus feet. Yours is cactus feet. So Krishna's feet is lotus feet. So meditate on lotus feet, you'll feel the coolness in the mind. But if you look at your feet is cactus feet, and all mental speculations come. So, but Gautama was looking at his feet. That is the problem. That is why he came with this philosophy, a dangerous philosophy called Nyaya. And then, yeah, and there was a great commentator on this one as Vatsyayana. Vatsyayana is the commentator is Nyaya Sutras. And of course, there are many names for this particular system of philosophy of Nyaya. There are Tarka Shastra, the science of reasoning. Tarka means if you want to do tarka, if you want to defeat somebody in an argument, you want to establish a point, you have to do tarka. You have to learn Nyaya. So if you are expert in Nyaya, everybody will be afraid of you. Hey, Tarkik hai, Tarka Shastra, right? Reasoning. Anvishikim, especially in the modern world, in the scholarly circles, Nyaya is more known as Anvishiki. Anvishiki means the science of critical study. Hmm. Uh, that is the word which was Anvishiki is a very popular word in among scholars and the way among the scholars around the world. You say Anvishiki, I'm doing studying Anvishiki. So a lot of theories of Anmishiki has been used even in the modern science to do some research. So most of your PhDs, that is what I heard. And if you are very much trained in the system of Nyaya, it helps a lot in your PhD. Of course, you will not find Krishna by that. But at least you can find your degree to justice to your degree. Anmeshiki. An Akshapada system, because his name is Akshapada. Hetu Shastra, Hetu Vidya, the science of cause. For every effect, there is a cause. So for every cause, there is an effect behind it. So go on trying to find out the cause of all causes through logic, that is called known as Hetu Vidya. What is the Hetu for this? And Pramana Shastra. As I told, Nyaya deals more with Pramana, the epistemology, the theory of knowledge, than Prameya. So it is known as Pramana Shastra, also known as Tattva Shastra, because by analyzing each and every element through logic, you are able to classify things according to the different categories. So categorization, especially those who are in mathematics, classification, in statistics classification, and Nyaya will help a lot. Rather, it is actually Nyaya. which is the basis of um, uh, a, a, what do you call them? Actuaries, who brings all the statistics. So many voters in during election time, you had different graphics and all these things. It's all actually by this categorization, Tattva Shastra, and then Vadartha, the science of discussion, how to discuss. If you are expert in Nyaya, then you can hold a meeting very nicely, and after that, I can manage the question answer session very nicely because you are very much expert in Vadartha. And there is one more called Pakika Shastra. Now, in a section of Nyaya, system philosophy is very much necessary for the kings, the administrators, because they need to understand what the other person is speaking and whether he's speaking truth, is he speaking actually logic. In justice, the judge should know, the lawyer should know, the king should know, the administrator should know the science by which they become very noble. If you are expert in Nyaya Vidya, the science of logic and reason. These are certain names. It's interesting for all of you because you're all PhD students. This you must be liking these kind of things. Summarizing Nyaya system philosophy. We are not going to the summary. So just reading the summary. So Nyaya Sutras are divided into 5 books, 5 chapters in one sense. The 5 books in 5 parts and 2 chapters is so total become 10. Pramana, Prameya, Avayava, Vada, Anyamata Parikshana. These are the 5 divisions. Pramana, there are 2 chapters in it. Prameya, the object of knowledge, there are 2 chapters. Avayava, limbs of discussion. That is known as there are 2 chapters for that. Vada, discussion, and Anyamata Parikshana, that is criticism of other philosophies. Now, what is the purpose of Nyaya? Attain proper knowledge by discriminating valid knowledge from the invalid knowledge by logic. So you use logic to discriminate between what is valid, what is invalid. Go on discussing what is valid, what is invalid, valid, invalid. And apply the conclusions by contemplating on the logical reasoning, attain liberation. Oh, over, that's Nyaya. Sambandha Abhidheya Prayojana. So you have this simple 3 steps. Use logic to find out what is valid knowledge from invalid knowledge. Apply it and attain liberation. These are 3 steps. Now, in Nyaya system philosophy, there are padarthas. There are 16 padarthas. So I have taken from Gautama's Nyaya, the first Gadya. He talks about this thing. Says Pramana Prameya Samshaya Prayojana Drishtanta Siddhanta Vayava Tarka Nirnaya Vadajalpa Vitanda Hetu Abhasa Chalajati Nigrahastaranam Tattva Jnanam Hishreshadigamaha. So this is directly from Nyaya, book of Gautama. He says by studying these 16 aspects of knowledge, then you will attain perfection. Highest benefit is attained. Not by studying Bhagavatam, but to study these 16. What are they? Pramana, Prameya, Samshaya, Prayojana, Drishtanta, Siddhanta, Avayava, Tarka, Nirnaya, Vada, Jalpa, Vitanda, Hetu, Abhasha, Chala, Jati, and Nigrahastan. 16. So there are 16 are mentioned here. So I'm going to talk about the 16 in a nutshell. So let us see how the 16 come into picture. Of course, you have Anyamata Pariksha. There are balancing the example. Suppose somebody gives an example. Say somebody gives an example saying that, Bhakti Thakur, Simha Guru. Oh, now I understand. That is why he has a beard. Oh, Bhakti Thakur is our photograph. He's got a beard. Now, in the example was given, Bhakti Thakur, like, he's a Simha Guru. Why is he Simha Guru? Because he has got a beard. So this is not the way you understand example. That is why you need to know logic to even understand examples. Uh, he is called Simhaguru because when he gives a class, when he gives a lecture, his words roar. There is like a roar of a lion. Like when the lion roars, all the jackals run away. By hearing the words of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the jackals in our heart, they all will run away. Means anarthas will run away. So we should have a proper system by which you understand examples. Otherwise, everybody will just go away in understanding an example. Uh, Now, we go into the 16 systems of examples. Okay. How it goes is like this. Uh, Now, one by one. First, first is pramana. Pramana. What is the source of knowledge? They are very much clear. The source of knowledge is Veda. But now they have a problem here. What is the problem? You understand Veda through logic. Uh, First is you have to doubt. Until unless you doubt, how will you get knowledge? That is why samshaya comes. The third point is samshaya. Pramana, prameya will not talk much because prameya means object to be known. Now comes samshaya. Samshaya is the third point. So these nyayis, they say first you should doubt. Until as you doubt, you will not have a proper understanding of anything. For knowledge comes by doubt. Now, you can have a doubt. The doubts are two kinds. One is doubt on the subject, other one is doubt on the person is speaking. The Veda, the source of knowledge, the spiritual master. Now, in the Vaishnava system of philosophy, you can have doubts. But if you doubt an authority, then you get lost. No way. If you doubt Veda, then the problem is there. If you doubt your spiritual master, the problem is there. You cannot doubt on the subject. Like uh, Arjuna. Arjuna, he had a doubt. When Krishna told Arjuna that, oh Arjuna, evam vivasvade yogam proktavan aham avyam vivasvarmanve praham arvikshvake bravit evam parampara praptam rajarasho vidu sakalena mahata yogo nashta parantapa. Then Arjuna asked a question uh, that how is it so? Katamedad vijaniyam aparam bhavato janma param janma vivasvataha katamedad vijaniyam tamadu proktavaniti. How can I understand that you spoke Gita to Vivaswan because Vivaswan was born before you and you were born after Vivaswan? Then Krishna says that Arjuna, Bhuvimine Viditani, Janmani Tavacharjana. You also and I also taken many, many births, but you don't remember, I remember. So there is a distinction between you and me. I remember all the births, all the incarnations what I have taken, but you don't remember. So Arjuna's doubt was very interesting. Katam etad vijaniyam. Etad, whatever you are told, katam, how, vijaniyam, how can I understand? Katam etad vijaniyam, samado proktavaniti, that you have spoken this before. So the doubt of Arjuna was not on Krishna. The doubt was on himself that I am not able to understand. Please explain to me further. I have this doubt on the subject. So samshaya is the source of knowledge for them. Is a very important principle. How to doubt has been described in Nyaya system of philosophy very elaborately. And then when you want to know something, there should be prayojana. There should be aim. What is the purpose for which you are asking a question for which you're doubting, you want to know. And after you know knowledge, you understand it with an example that is called drishtanta. You give an example, drishtanta. Drishta anta means by seeing a particular, having a vision of a particular thing, you come to a conclusion. That means you become very clear of what knowledge you have. Like example is given. Many examples are given to understand the position of the distinction between the Supreme Lord and the living entity. We give example: a ocean and a drop of ocean, fire and a spark of fire. So by which these examples, you can have an idea of what exactly is being known to you. So drishtanta, and then your siddhanta, then you conclude after giving a siddhanta, after giving a drishtanta, you give a siddhanta. So the spark of the fire and the fire, the soul is the spark and God is like fire. So there is a distinction. That means you cannot say the spark is a fire, and you cannot say fire is a spark. At the same time, fire and spark both of them have same quality. So the soul is not God, God is not soul. At the same time, God and soul has got some same quality. That's called the Siddhanta. By giving a Drishtanta, you give a Siddhanta. And then Avayava. Going to come further of this thing. And then comes Tarka. Tarka means argument. Establish a point to find the truth. That is called Tarka. If you want to know more about, you give a Tarka. I'm just taking an example. But the Vedas say, the soul is also Brahman. God is also Brahman. In the 8th chapter, Arjuna asks Krishna, Kim tad Brahma? I want to know Brahman, that is soul, and Param Brahma. Krishna has been addressed as Brahman, and the soul has also been addressed as Brahman. If two things are there, why they are the same name? Is the same name? It should be representing the same thing. That's Tarka. But Tarka is not, this kind of thing is not to defeat you. It is just a point to know more clarity. So then when you do the Tarka like this, the answer is, it is true. If you see, Krishna has been addressed as Parabrahman. And also other place, Krishna says, Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi. There are two Kshetrajnas, Jiva Kshetrajna and Vibhu Anu Kshetrajna, Vibhu Kshetrajna. Two things are there. So just because one term has been used to two different objects, the two different objects may not be the same. They can be different. Like when you go to a classroom in a co-education school and you say, oh, we have 50 students. They are student, but a boy and girl, this distinction between them. Just because you call everybody a student, that doesn't mean there is no distinction. So in this way, Siddhanta comes into picture by giving a Drishtanta. I hope you're all along with me. See, these kind of classes are only meant for certain kind of people. So if you're there, fine. Otherwise, I cannot help it. So again, it goes to the Drishtanta and Siddhanta. So as soon as Tarka comes, when somebody raises Tarka, you give a Drishtanta and then establish Siddhanta again. In this way, you become very expert in Nyaya. And if you become expert in Nyaya, I'm telling you, everybody will like you or hate you. They like you because, oh, you're establishing Siddhanta very nicely. They hate you because whatever we say is going to disprove. So in this way, this is going to be like that. Siddhanta, Drishtanta, Siddhanta, Avayava is Tarka. And then Nirnaya. And after it goes on and goes on, he gives another Tarka. Okay, if that is the case, that the living entity and the Supreme Lord are different from each other, then why the Vedas say Aham Brahmasmi. Why it says Tattvamasi, I am that. So like that, so many tarkas will come. And for that you have to give a Drishtanta and a Siddhanta. Uh, And when everything is gone, he has no more tarka, then it leads to what? Nirnaya, conclusion. It leads to conclusion. So the other person says, Dandavat Pranam, now I am going to get initiated in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya because it is the best Siddhanta, and now I concluded and surrender to you now. Surrender to. Please get me initiated from your spiritual master. I want to chant Hare Krishna. I want to dance 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra. You say whatever you say, I'm going to do. Over. Now that is how Nirnaya. Now there are some people after hearing your arguments, they'll accept and then they accept the conclusion called Nirnaya. But there are some people who are just to defeat you, they go on arguing. It's called Vada. Vada is very bad. Tarka is good, but Vada is bad. It is not Vada, it is Vada. Vada. So in Vada, the other person wants to defeat you. That's all. There's no intention in his mind to accept the truth. So if you're a preacher in Krishna consciousness, your family is doing Vada, you also do Vada and just defeat him. Keep everything aside and then just defeat him. Because if you defeat him because of your Vada, then other person, everybody others who are watching, they think, yes, he's defeated. His Asura is defeated. Demoniac people, they do Vada. And for that, you also should have this, I think, in the mind. We're well equipped with Vada if it is required. Actually, we don't want. Vaishnavas are not interested in Vada. But if one alone somebody comes and doing Vada, you say, get lost. I don't want to talk to you. But if it happens in a public, when you are giving a nice, wonderful class on Bhagavad Gita, and all of a sudden one demon will raise their hands and then start talking just to defeat you. There is no genuine interest in him to understand. At that time, you also give a nice slap just to defeat. You did just defeat him. Prabhupada used this Vada a lot. Defeat. Just defeat. If there is more tarka, just defeat. Now there is jalpa, there is wrangling, gossip without any conclusion. And there is vitanda. These are all the different methodologies of dealing with tamasic people. Vitanda. Now, something irrational argument, just say something opposite. Like one young lady, a press reporter, she came to Prabhupada and then told, Swamiji, why do you have a shaved head? And Prabhupada said, why do you have bare legs? He was, is it a question to ask Swamiji, why do you have shaved heads? And Prabhupada just use this vitanda, just say the opposite. Yes, why do you have bare legs? Then she was taken aback because she was wearing a mini skirt. And Prabhupada, why do you have bare legs? Then she was taken aback. And Prabhupada told, it is better to have cool head and warm legs. So then she started hearing. Otherwise, these people who do vitanda, they have to be curbed by this vitanda. These are some of the astras a preacher should have by studying the Nyaya system of philosophy, so that he can defeat the tamasic and the rajasic people. And sattvic people, of course, they are into tarka, and then they will understand your logic and your reasoning and accept you as a spiritual master and then surrender to you. But those who are not, for them also you need astras. If the shastra, if they don't listen to shastra, which has been explained by logic and reason, then you need to have astras. These are the subtle astras which are there required for preacher to well equipped to defeat such kind of people. Though we are not interested, but we require it. Now, Arjuna had all the astras, but he did not use them. He only used a few to defeat. Pashupata astra he had gained from Lord Shiva, but he did not use it. And then there is something called Hetu Abhasha. Vitandavada, Hetu Abhasha. Tell a lie. So when once Prabhupada was walking and a press reporter comes and asks him, press reporters are like that only, they're very tamasic people. Their arguments are just for the sake of defeating you or trying to get a controversy out of you. He asked Prabhupada that he's just a few months in the movement. He asked him, how many disciples you have? And Prabhupada, full time, 10,000. There were not even 6 disciples of Prabhupada at that time. He just bluntly told a blunt lie. 10,000 he told. We also do the same bluff to the press reporters. When they are during Rath Yatra time, they come and ask, how many, Swamiji, how many people have come for the Rath Yatra? Oh, Rath Yatra, how many? We distributed around 50,000 plates of prasadam. Hardly 2,000 will be there, but we'll say 50,000, no problem. Next day in the newspapers, you'll get 50,000 people came. So he can only count and go, but just for the sake of asking, he'll ask. And you make a you make a news out of it. It's called exactly tell a lie. And there's chala, unfair reply. Unfair reply. Jati, these are all different kinds of arguments to make a person futile, generally based on false logic. Like, if you read Prabhupada's conversation with different people, the small books with so many conversations, if you just read them, you will find a lot of them may be used. There was a conversation between Prabhupada and Kotowski. So in that conversation, Kotowski, he asked, Prabhupada, Swamiji, in India you have caste system. Then Prabhupada told, do you have intelligent people in Russia? Do you have intelligent people? You are shocked. What does it mean? Yes, we have. You have administrators? Yes, we have. We have military. Okay, do you have businessmen? Yes, we have a group of businessmen. Do you have workers? Yes, we have a lot of workers. Then you also have caste system. If you tell, if you just talk to him, no caste, it's not caste system, it's varnashrama and all, he would not accept. Then he immediately says, Swamiji, we believe everything is nature. And Prabhupada says, whose nature? Over. One line. That's all. So, Srila Prabhupada was expert Nyaya, but he never thought that by logic I can realize Krishna. But he was having logic. He presented everything so logically. The whole world is completely flabbergasted by his presentation of philosophy, which people thought is only just an emotion, which people thought is something which is some utopian principle. Some people thought this philosophy or Prabhupada presented philosophy means, Vedas means there's something abstract. But he made the whole world realize that it is cutthroat logic. It is just logic. Anybody who is intelligent has to accept Krishna consciousness. Because if he is intelligent, he has logic. If he has logic, he has to understand Krishna consciousness. If he doesn't have intelligence, no logic, then no problem. Let him suffer. That is why intelligent people take up Krishna consciousness, because they are very logical. They have reasoning. So, Jati, Nigrahasthan, there's one more story about Prabhupada, Nigrahasthan. Now, just bring him to a particular point and hammer him. How? There's one car driver. Car driver means not car driver actually. Car race. Your Monte Carlo car race. Formula 1 or 2, I don't know which formula they have in driving a car. So, goes on, great rash. So, bikes also, they drive the bike. So, this car race person met Prabhupada. And Prabhupada started speaking, oh, you're into car race. Then Prabhupada started speaking about different car races around the world which is happening. He was so engrossed. The Swamiji is talking so much about cars. He went on talking. All of a sudden, Prabhupada asked, I just want to ask you one question. You're driving a car at such a speed of 250 miles an hour, and then there's a very sharp turn you have to take. At the time you find the brakes have failed. What do you do? And he told Swamiji, I just say, my God, oh my God. Then Prabhupada, do you know who is God? You say, my God, your God, you should know him. Then went on, speaking about how Krishna is God. then he accepted perpetual vision strength. So Nigrahasthana, you bring him to a particular point and then hammer him. So this is how there are Anyamata Parikshana and understanding the examples, balancing the examples, and there Nigrahasthan. There are many kinds of Nigrahasthans. Lots of details are given in Gautama's Nyaya philosophy. If you are getting interested in studying Nyaya, please listen to me further. If you are getting interested in studying Nyaya, so this philosophy is like this, most idiotic philosophy. Atoms are the source. Ishvara, Parama Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha, Anadi Radhi Govinda is Adi for everything. But now, Ham Sarvasya Prabhava, he says the atom is everything. Atom is the source of Krishna also, according to them. So this is how the modern science, the Buddhists and everybody derives their principles from this Nyaya. Whole modern science, they're based in Nyaya system of philosophy. But the modern science atom is something like a 10-story building in front of a Nyaya's atom. Nyaya's atom is the atom which is described in the Bhagavatam. So the modern science atom is like a 10-story building in front of the Nyaya's atom. That you can understand how gross these modern science are. If you want to say what is modern science is, the physics or chemistry or mathematics, what it may be, it is all nothing but the grossest manifestation of Nyaya system of philosophy. Okay. Now they defend Veda a lot. They talk Veda is perfect source of knowledge. Just imagine, you can accept Veda as a perfect source of knowledge and be still accepting when atom as a source. Like some idiots who call themselves Vaishnavas, they say, you see, what Darwin has told, it is already there in our scriptures. I know, Darwin said evolution theory. You see, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha, Vamana. This evolution. Matsya only water, from there water and land, Kurma, then Varaha only on land. Just see, there is evolution. Stupid Vaishnavas. They think themselves to be Vaishnavas. And they say, what Darwin? Darwin tells in all the Vedas. And they don't know the transcendental nature of Matsya, transcendental nature of Varaha, Kurma, Narasimha, Vamana. They say that these are some animals being described. And Darwin actually found out what is there in the Veda. Crazy. So this is how their whole thing is. Defend Veda a lot. But they are not Vedic. They are anti-Vedic. Though they defend Veda, like though they are accepting the Dashavatar, but they are accepting Dashavatar as nothing but evolution theory. So how ignorance it is. And they do Shaligram Puja and all these things. So just because somebody is Vedic or studying Veda or knows Sanskrit doesn't mean that he's a theistic, he's Vaishnava, or he's something God fearing and all. No. He's a disgusting person. Now they use God, very good, for convenience, because God, because if there is no God, how will you maintain discipline in this world? So their God is only as a discipline maker. That's all. Actually, it's not there. It is only a concept for them. That is why we have to accept. Whatever is good, we should accept. Even if it is illusion, if it is good, you should accept. So God is illusion, and we accept Him so that we become disciplined. You understand? How below is coming to make a child disciplined. How below is coming. The mother conceives of some how below, and then the child thinks it is reality, and actually it is only conception, so that the child become disciplined. So this is the way that God is only for convenience. Soul and matter are eternal. For them, soul is also matter is also matter, and both are eternal. Bondage is because of false notion. Because the 16 padarthas, 10 plus 6, as we read it. If you have false notion about the 16, then you are bound. When you have true knowledge about the 16, you are liberated. Okay. So now Charvak. Charvak is is like this. he is first Apasampradaya of Nyaya system of philosophy. Everywhere there are Apasampradayas. Even Nyaya, they are some Apasampradaya. Charva is the first Apasampradaya of this atomic theory of Gautama. So he because he is a kind of Apasampradaya, you can understand better, because original Nyayas are very few these days. Apasampradayas have spread so much. Among them, this Charvak, he had this philosophy. Charvak view that the body itself is jiva, that is, anyhow, instead of saying the soul and matter, both matter, saying that there is only one thing called matter. He simplified the Nyaya system philosophy and told, just accept there is only body. If at all there is soul, the soul is body, body is the soul. Body is made up of chemicals and the soul is made up of chemicals. Consciousness is nothing but the product of chemicals. That's all. Nyaya theory that jiva is not of the nature of consciousness. They don't accept jiva is actually conscious, and it is consciousness. They say consciousness is nothing but the interaction of some matter. That's all, of chemicals. Now the Advaitis, they say the jiva is as good as Brahman. And Vaisheshikas view that jiva is all pervasive vibhu. The Jainas view that the jiva is the size of the body of occupies. Even the Jainism is also like that. There is also no. Why are you going so down? It is just in the beginning of page number 4. In the page number 4, beginning. Got it?
Here, Guruji?
Yeah. What is the great benefit of which Gautama speaks? He means that expert knowledge of logic, it can benefit living entities. So, going further, we have I think you have this notes. Tell it. Go down. Still further. Still not go down means not. No. Above. Go up.
Okay.
Ah. No. You're gone. Slow down. Come. Little more. Put down more. But it is a theism.
Okay.
It is there from there.
Okay.
So, what is the great benefit which Gautama speaks? He means that expert knowledge of logic is the greatest benefit for the living entity. He says, if at all there is any benefit to the entire living people, you should be expert in logic. That benefits you a lot. Now go down further. Now, according to Nyaya, if you see the 16 Padarthas, there is no God in the 16 Padarthas. And that is why the Vedas affirm, Naisa Tarke Namatir Apaneya, God cannot be understood through material logic. Now go further. What I am presenting to you is directly from Tattva Vika of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Now Gautama sees liberation in this way. Dukkha janma pravritti doshamitya jnanam uttarottarapare tad anantarapayat apavargaha. Liberation means attaining the knowledge that frees one from ignorance, that is the birthplace of suffering. So they also say ignorance is the cause of suffering, but their understanding of the word ignorance is different. Our understanding of the word ignorance is that forgetting Krishna, our relationship with Krishna, forgetting that I am servant of Krishna. But their understanding of ignorance is different. That is to not have proper knowledge of the 16 items. Okay. In general, the sutra may be seen support the idea that liberation is a cessation of suffering. Spiritual bliss is not present in Gautama's concept of liberation. In his conception, there is no bliss of meeting God. For this reason, Gautama's Nyaya Shastra is opposed to Veda. Karma is adrishta, which makes the soul reincarnate. So, what is the their whole idea of karma. I'll try to explain in a brief. If I go on just talking about it. So karma is like a bank account for them, which makes you appear again, make you appear again. So this is they are known as adrishta. Adrishta is the karma, and is responsible for all the incarnation, reincarnation of the soul, which is ultimately made up a matter for them. Now, Arambhavada and Asatkriya Karyavada, Asatkriya Vada. I'll not talk about it now. When Sankhya comes, I'll talk about it. To give a small introduction to what is Arambhavada, Buddhists are Arambhavadis, Nyaya are Arambhavadis. They say the cause, the effect is not in the cause. The dog is barking, bow, 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 bow. The effect is bark. But the dog is not made up of barks. Once the effect has manifested, the cause ceases its existence. Like a seed becomes a banyan tree. There is no banyan tree in the seed, but a seed becomes a banyan tree, and the seed is gone. So this has paid way for Buddhism. Buddhism, they talk about only momentary existence. That's all. So they even though they talk of ahimsa and all, they come to eating cockroaches because of this. Anyway, I ate cockroaches yesterday, and that doesn't exist now. So and there is no effect of that tomorrow. So why forget about everything? There's only momentary existence. You're a Buddhist. Okay, now Pramana and all you can read of your own. Chanakya accepts this thing. Let us go to Chanakya's. The verse is there. Rinam kritva gatam pibet jivet yavat sukam jivet rasmibhutasya dehasya kim punar agamam bhavet. Once, as long as let's enjoy. Who bothers? Anyhow, once the body is burnt, do you think the body will come back? Just sin. Go on doing sin. Go on enjoying. God, what karma and all, forget about it. That's only in theory. That's all. Who is seeing all these things? As long as your body, just go on enjoying. Now, if that is the case, if you don't accept Anuman, if you don't accept, if you only accept Pratyaksha, then Vedanta Samantaka, given by Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu, it says that Charvak Tava Charvakni Angi Jharato Viksha Garbhini Pratyaksha Matra Vishwaso Dhanaswasam Kimujjasi. Oh, my dear Charvak, when you see your beautiful wife pregnant by somebody, she has been impregnated by somebody, why are you getting so angry? Because there is no Pratyaksha Praman. That means you accept only Pratyaksha. So if you accept only Pratyaksha, then you are not seen somebody else impregnating your wife. So there is no Pratyaksha Praman. So why are you getting angry? Just by seeing her impregnated, becoming pregnant. The Lokayatikas and Vaibhashikas, they are all two different categories or offshoots of this Charvak philosophy and Buddhism. Of course, I'll see those who accept Nyaya as somebody, opinion of great personalities. Take that point. Those who say accept Nyaya as a system of philosophy. One who studies Nyaya, Manu Samhita says he should be made excommunicated, get lost, don't contaminate us. Lord Ram will say anybody who studies Nyaya system of philosophy will never get my mercy. Mahabharata, Krishna told Arjuna, as soon as some people came and complained to Krishna, saying that, oh, this Nyaya, this Brahmana is troubling us a lot. He's doing tarka so much. He's having just arguing. Then Krishna looked at the so-called Brahman who was into so much of tarka. In front of Arjuna and looked. What happened? Brahman became a jackal and then ran into the forest, shouting, became a jackal. Vyasa in the Vedanta Sutra, he clearly says, Aparigrat chantam manapeksha Those Nyaya should be totally rejected. Vedanta Sutra, second chapter, second pada, 17th sutra. And then, of course, we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself saying, who was actually expert in Nyaya. Srinimai Panditeti Nama Desha Vanditam Navyatarka Daksha Daksha Damba Damba Dambidamba Kanditam Pitartha Kanda Kanda Kanditartha Sambaram Premadhama Devameva Naumikura Sundaram. Nimai, he was a great learned scholar. He would crush the ego of proud Nyaya scholars of his time by his numerous ingenious and original arguments. And after having shattered the traditional theories, he would again establish them. I sing the glories of Gauri Sundar, who is the best of Nyaya, Nyaya Pandit, Supreme Lord, Chaitanya. And then, of course, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his song, beautiful song, he talks about the five systems philosophy and says, these are all asara.
You're disconnected.
I just take the shelter of lotus feet of Krishna. I carefully study. Pyatam kam kanabo jamatam bari chavi invikshikim shikshita mimamsa viditaiva sankhya sharanai yoge vitirnamati vedanta parishilata sarishabam kintu spuram madhuri Tara Kanchanandana Sunu Murali Machittamakarshati. He said, I have studied the Kannada's Paramanuvada. I have studied Gautama Nyaya philosophy. I studied Jaimina's Karma Mimamsa philosophies. I have studied the travel on the path of Pseudo Kapila's Banki philosophies. I have applied my mind to Patanjali Yoga philosophy. I have recently studied Vyasa Vedanta philosophies. None of these attract me. I am just completely carried away the flood of sweetness of Nandasuna's flute. And that is attracted and captivated my heart. So this is where we end this Nyaya system of philosophy for all of you. And Vaisheshika is also its brother. And next time when we meet, we'll just have small thinking about Vaisheshika and then how Nyaya Vaisheshikas have been refuted by Vyasa. That is what we're going to see next time when we meet. Next Sunday is Narasimha Jayanti. I don't know what we are going to do.
Maybe we can postpone for the next one.
It's true because the hammering which is happening in these classes, it is very difficult to recover in 1 week. It takes 15 days.
So yeah, Narsingh Chaturdasi would be difficult. So maybe next time.
Next time. Okay. Hare Krishna.
So can we have few questions, maybe 1, 2 questions?
Yeah. Question.
Okay, so participants, if you have any question, they can ask, they can unmute. And before that, I have also couple of questions for you. So I heard there is also a system called Navya Nyaya, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also came in the verse. He was quite expert in that. Jiva Goswami also went to Banaras.
Yeah.
So how is it different from this system of Nyaya?
Not much difference. And the only difference is Navya Nyaya elaborates on the original Nyaya system of philosophy. It's an elaboration.
Okay.
That's all. Not much difference.
Okay. And also the systems where we talk about Bhakti and Upanayan, those systems didn't appear in this set of 16 items you described.
Which one?
The conception of Bhakti and then giving example Upanayan. I read in somewhere in Tattva Sandarbha. So in the commentaries. So those systems are not part of Nyaya. Where they came?
Upa?
Prabhuji.
Hetu, Pratigya, Vyapti, Upanayan.
They are different names for the same things.
Okay. And similar stuffs came in the 16 items, but exactly the names didn't appear. And I have another question, Praji. So although Nyaya appears so logical, why actually, one thing I understand, it doesn't give the ultimate goal that Vaishnavas aspire, but still, like Srila Prabhupada, as you very wonderfully explained in his refutation of atheistic people, so he used Nyaya, the different aspects of Nyaya. It was really enlightening.
Yeah.
And why actually, when he hears a statement that Lord Ram rejected, Lord Krishna rejected, Vyasadeva himself rejected in Vedanta Sutra.
Yeah, that is why in the beginning I told, if you remember, there is a difference between Nyaya, logic, and using logic as for self-realization.
Oh.
When Ram says, "I'll not give mercy," means those people who use Nyaya, logic for self-realization.
Okay.
Using logic, there's no problem for understanding, and we cannot live without logic.
Yes.
But to think that logic is life, that is the problem.
And what is the self-realization for the practitioners of Nyaya?
Understanding the 16 items thoroughly and discriminating between valid knowledge and invalid knowledge, applying that valid knowledge, and then get rid of suffering.
Okay.
I don't know when it is going to happen, who has attained perfection by that, but that is their what mentioned. As it is, I am presenting, that's all.
Okay. Thank you. So there are a few questions for the participants also, if you allow.
Yeah.
So Hitik Samarth is saying, if you feel we committed a sin, be it anger or any
Somebody
bad.
has raised the hand. Ask them to speak.
Yeah, please, Ritika Samarth, please ask directly. Or anybody else who is available, please ask directly.
Am I audible?
Yeah, please.
Yes.
So actually my question is that sometimes we feel angry or we feel that we have done something bad. So how can we overcome those feelings and feel that okay, we have overcome that bad feeling which we had for other, be it jealousy or any other sort of negative feeling. So how can we overcome that and purify ourselves?
The problem is you have a lot of time. That is the problem. You have a lot of time. That is the problem. When you are busy in Krishna consciousness, all these things will automatically go away. So when you chant 16 rounds every day of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, read 2 hours of Bhagavatam, spend 1 hour in satsang program, and serve Krishna in your house or in the temple, then where is the time for all these things? So idle man's brain, even idle woman's brain is also a devil's workshop. The man or woman. So you better keep yourself busy. When you're busy in Krishna consciousness, all the negative things will go away. Krishna Surisama or Maya Hai Andakar. In Maya, whether somebody feels good or bad, both are same. Ye bhalo, ye manda, ye sab brahma. Sometimes you feel good, that is also ignorance. Sometimes you feel bad, that is also ignorance, because until there's feeling for Krishna, both good and bad feelings are nonsense. Or because of you somebody feels good, that is also nonsense. Because of you somebody feels bad, that is also nonsense. Because there is no feeling for Krishna. Okay?
Can I ask one question, please?
Yeah, any
Yes.
question related to today's discussion is welcome.
Ritika, you're okay with my answer? It may be harsh, but what to do? Is the truth.
Yes, it is. Like I need to work on it. Like I have to be more productive.
16 rounds. That's all. Okay.
6 Guruji.
My question is,
16 rounds.
why there are so many different systems?
Why there are so many different systems?
Yes.
Oh, that is a good question. It never came to my mind. Okay, I'll tell you the reason. Reason is the first 2 systems are basically of Arambhavada, and the second 2 systems, that is Sankhya and Yoga, they are known as Satkarivada, and the last 2 systems, they are some progression of this into Astikavada. So these 6 systems as categorized as 2, 2, 2, and within that there is a progression. The progression is having 3 categories. One is Arambhavada, that is cause is not there in the effect is not in the cause, and cause ceases to exist as soon as the effect manifests. Okay, this is called Arambhavada, where it is grossest atheism among the 6. Now comes the second. They say Ishwarena Siddhe, God is not required, but the effect has to be in the cause, in a potential form. The banyan tree is in the seed, but how it is in the seed? In a potential way. The barks are in the dog in a potential way. So there is an understanding of potency in Sankhya and Yoga. Okay. Now, when you go to higher philosophies like Karamimamsa and Purvimamsa, and Uttarvimamsa, there the potent, there is a attempt to recognize the potent behind the potency. Okay.
So did they evolve sequentially? Or
okay, that's an interesting question. As I told, as much as knowledge is eternal, ignorance is also eternal. So ignorance as manifested in these 6 forms as energies. These ignorant energies are there, and they are eternally existing. Sometimes they manifest, sometimes they unmanifest, and sometimes they expand, sometimes they contract. It all depends on the in Krishna's wish. In the 7th canto, 1st chapter, Sukadeva Goswami talks about this thing. That how the ignorance, goodness, passion, ignorance, their strength increases, sometimes decreases according to the will of Krishna. So it is not, there is a chronology behind it. In the Vedic system, as somebody has pointed on the previous session or in some other session, in the Vedic system, the time is cyclic. So these energies are also cyclic. It is not that first this came, second this came, third this came. They manifest according to different intervals and different times according to the will of the Lord.
Yeah,
yes, thank you, sir.
It was wonderful answer. So 1-2 more questions. Nishant is raising his hand for quite some time. Nishant, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, as in the previous session, you said that a person who believes in Vedas but don't believe in God, he is to be called he is to be called a theist. But the one who doesn't believe in Vedas and believe in God, he is to be called an atheist. How can we understand this, Prabhuji?
That is why that is how it is a rudhi, means it is only a system. It is a socially accepted norm among all the philosophers, Vedic philosophers. Because if you don't accept Veda, there is no question of you getting proper knowledge, isn't it? There is no question. There is no way. So if you don't accept Veda at all, and even though you accept God, your God is imaginary God. Okay.
Thank you so much.
So any further questions from the participants? Hemant, you are still raising your hand. Do you have still some questions?
Okay, we stop here.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
I have one more question, if you kindly allow. So you talked about ignorance being eternal as the knowledge. So I was just reflecting the way of Western logic, how it works. So if there is true, then the opposite side is false. That is, I mean, it's not there. So, but in our case, am I audible? Yeah. So in our case, both truth and falsity kind of maintained on the same track. I mean, existing parallelly. So I mean, it seems to me it's a very different kind of logic than the Western approach. Any comments on that?
The Western approach is unorganized ignorance. It is ignorance,
Right.
really unorganized. So that's why if you study Western philosophy, they are confused between Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Yoga, Purvamamsa, and Trimamamsa. They get confused. But we know this is what it is, this is what it is, this is what it is. If you read Srila Prabhupada's book, one book called Didactic Spiritualism, Prabhupada had conversations with his disciples, mostly T.D. Singh or Damodar Swami, and many other disciples, based on different philosophies of the Western world, Aristotle, Plato, like that. And Srila Prabhupada say Aristotle is true in this to this extent, but this way is wrong. Plato was right in this point, but not this way. So he knew these people to what extent they're right, what extent they're wrong, because they are speaking one of the six systems of philosophy.
Yes.
So two books. If you don't have to go and read any Western philosophy, read this book called Didactic Spiritualism, number one. Number two, read Tattva Viveka. And all the Western philosophies, you can tick on their face.
Yeah. Right. Tattva Viveka is from Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
Yes, two books are enough
Okay.
for knowing all the Western philosophies.
And
Don't read any of the Western philosophies, because the Western philosophies which are written by modern Indians and the modern Westerners, though they also don't know what the Freud is spoken, what Aristotle spoke, what Plato spoke. They have no idea.
right.
They themselves have no idea. But Thakur had a better idea about all these things.
Yeah. So
Tattva Vivek.
okay, thank you very much for that, Praji. That's that. Praji,
Maybe
I
we
have,
should think Tattva Vivek. I'm an old man now. Over. Now my age is over. The young intelligence coming up in Krishna consciousness. So many PhDs, MTechs, MScs, and all people are there. So you take a seminar on Tattva Vivek by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
okay. So Praji, the system of Chatuskoti, where we talk of four different limbs of existence, thing that is there, not there, and neither of both, and then both of both. So does it come also in this Nyaya section, or is somewhere else?
Yeah, this is one of the sections of Nyaya.
Okay.
When you are presenting existence.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, we stop here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Praji, for sparing time for us. It was really exciting to hear. So we'll be waiting for your next session. So we wish you have more and more sessions for us, but if you permit. So anyway, but at least one session more. So on the next Sunday, after the Nursing Chaturdasi. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
No, Prabhuji, are we not having the other sessions of the Purva and Uttar Mimamsa?